Well, hello again. This is Ariel. Welcome back to the Nexus of Geek. It's been a long time since I've done a story video, and so in the interest of telling a gaming related story, here we are. Um, Usually I do them when there's inspiration hits, and I have, I think, a good story to share, so that you guys can get to know a little bit about my gaming activities, Dungeons and Dragons, tabletop playing. So I've been on vacation. To cut to the chase, I've been on vacation for a couple of weeks now, driving back from the Southern California area back to NorCal, where I live. And I was kind of jonesing during the long holiday weekend, Memorial Day weekend. It's just another weekend for me in the sense that I had to work on Monday, and so at least part of the day, no barbecues or anything special. But I did thoroughly enjoy the weekend because I got to spend it with family and friends, which I don't get a chance to do very often, except on my occasional trips home during my official vacations from work. But I digress. It was a long weekend. It was Saturday. The previous week, I went to a board gaming session, impromptu gaming session at my alma mater, or close to my alma mater, actually, in the city of Fullerton. I went to Cal State Fullerton, graduated there for grad school. I did undergrad somewhere else, and so Cal Poly. And so I went there, and they had a board game session, community session, and the board game group that I know, I had been gaming with them since 2013, 14 or so. And I now, it's been a few years, and the faces have changed. Some of the organizers are still the same. Hello, Mark, or if you're watching this, hello, Mark, and some of the people I know. Yeah, it was fun. The way those board gaming sessions go is they're kind of not really cliquish, but you gotta get there early. If you happen to get there a little bit late, like I think I was like 10 or 15 minutes finding for parking or getting the feel of it. And I didn't start right on the dot. Then people break off into their own groups, and set up a game. And sometimes it's hard. You gotta kind of wait around. But I got lucky. I met somebody that was in kind of a similar boat, and I got to play Star Wars Villainous. Great game. Really cool board game. My nephew got it for me for Christmas. I didn't get a chance to play it with anyone, and so I asked to do so. But that's not the story. The following week, this on Saturday, during the Memorial Day weekend, I wanted to go out, and I figured that it would be tough to find a face-to-face game. I can find online games on Roll20, but I really wanted to meet face-to-face with other people and trying to get a like a game around the table. So I went online and I did find one. So I drove out in the LA area, and it was a community center slash activities room, and it's been open there. Well, I won't bother you with all those details. But I got there kind of early. The website said the gaming session would start at 3 o'clock. It was a 5e game, and I was like, okay, why not? I mean, 5e, I've been playing 5e for a couple of years now, and it might be fun to play starting, like I think it was indicated to be like a 4th level game. So I had worked on I didn't have a pre-gen or anything, so I just figured I'd roll in and create a character, and I would try a class that I had not tried before. So I went let's see, I usually play like a cleric or a fighting, a melee type character, like a fighter, because I'm not really huge like on spellcasting. When it's just like an impromptu game, this was going to be like a one-shot, most likely. I wasn't going to come back the following week anyway. I probably won't come back for several months, if that, when I come back to the area. And so I decided to try because there was a one-shot, to try a class that a class race combo that I never play. And so I went for Elf. an elf, half elf actually, a half elf bard, and I I don't know how to play bards in 5e. I usually don't play them. I know about bardic inspiration and some of the mechanics, and so and I know they have a little bit of spell casting. So anyway, I get there, I create a character. The DM was seemed pretty shy, but very inviting and open to new players. Or I gave him my story. He kind of wanted to figure out what my experience was playing 5e. I told him I've been playing for several years, blah blah blah. Got to know a little bit, and then sitting around creating my character. Then another person pops in. He said he was waiting for a few other players, but I got there like early. Because even though we were supposed to start at 3 o'clock, it really nobody really popped in until later, around 4 o'clock or so. I was like, okay, I got the day off, so I don't mind waiting. Nobody was showing up though, and I forgot to say that the long weekends are kind of tough for gaming, can be, because there's a lot of competition from other activities. Especially if it was a nice day, it was a nice weather, and so people are out doing other things. They don't necessarily want to be indoors. And also, there's a lot of gaming conventions too. You have competition for conventions too, so people are out, especially in the LA area, and I'm sure in other parts of the country as well. They take advantage to roll up a register for. So it's for me, it was like, I was visiting family and I wasn't home, and I didn't really make any plans to go register at a convention. I did that last year. I went to Gen Con, and so I just wanted to find a relaxing game, but I knew it was going to be tough, and I did find it. And it was me and the DM, and then another player popped in, potential player. I introduced myself, young African American guy. I asked him his experience with gaming and 5e, and he started to make his character. We were all hyped up, and then he gets up all of a sudden and says, "You know what? I gotta go. But I'll keep the character sheet." And so I was like, didn't say anything because I don't know the person, but I was like, that's kind of messed up. We're all looking forward to the game, and this guy has something, I know, he got a text or something else to do, or he didn't feel comfortable maybe playing with people that he didn't really know, because I didn't know it from Adam. He knew the DM, so he leaves, and by this time it's like after 5 o'clock. It's been a couple of hours. I spent some time putting together this bard, and I said, okay, this may not happen. It was a nice try. I'll stick around a little bit, and then maybe wait till traffic dies down, because I didn't. Again, holiday weekend. There's a lot of traffic on a weekend of Saturday evening. This happened to be Saturday, and I had kind of resigned to the idea that we weren't playing, and then right before I kind of trying to make my way out, we hear the door, and then he goes up to let the person in, and it's another potential player, somebody he knew, an older guy, older Caucasian type player, kind of like a rocker dude with like long hair, but definitely older. And I asked him, he sits there, he pulls out his laptop, doesn't say a word like the whole time. So we're sitting there in silence for a long time. This guy's just typing away. I was like, okay, maybe he's checking his social media and stuff. But no, he was on D&D Beyond creating a character. So I asked him, have you played long? He was like, on and off. Haven't played in a long time, wanted to get in a game. And then we start to click, because we start talking about D&D and 5e and stuff like that, and different classes, because I told him I was going to play a bard, and he was going to, I think he went druid, so he had a druid character prepared, level 4, and so are we waiting for someone? We're sitting there, and then the DM says, yeah, he's on the phone talking to his friend or a potential regular player. He's like, I don't know if he's coming. He's doing something with his mom, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, you know what? I'll just get the session started, and then you can jump in if you want to. I hear him say this to the other potential player on the phone, and he says, all right. So if you can make it, that's cool. If not, no worries. And I'm just going to start the session. So it was just me and the other guy, party with two, a druid and a bard. And and then he starts the session, and the premise is like where it starts like every D&D session, and I can tell that this is a written module. It's not like a homebrew thing. He's reading from prepared notes that he has, but I could tell that he had looked over his notes, and he had a whole session prepared. Cool. And it starts off like your typical RPG or D&D game where you're in a tavern in a town. He tells us the name of the town, and the first magical thing happens when he goes, oh, he looks at his notes, and he's kind of rifles for a bit, and he's like, what the fuck was the name of this town? This name is and then the other guy's like, oh yeah, fuck town, or F and F, I've been there before. And I was like, oh yeah. And then we all crack up over this silly joke about this town, but that totally breaks the ice, because prior to this it had been almost completely silent. I'm sitting there thinking, well, is this gonna work out? Is anybody else gonna show up? And the other dude who's playing the other character, the druid, is sitting there not saying anything, just sort of typing away on D&D Beyond, setting up a digital sheet. And then he shows us, after it's all done, he shows it, and we were doing point buy, which is not my favorite. I kind of like to roll, but point buy, we'll go with point buy. And we're in the session, and then after he cracks the ice with that, it gets going. And it's a very engaging story, we're like vibing along, and basically we were, there was a wizard who comes in, and we didn't know it was a wizard. It was a sheep, actually. It's a guy that has been polymorphed to an animal form as a sheep. And he comes in and he tells us that he needs some help. And then again, we're cracking up. It was like, he's a wizard, and I guess the backstory has to do with something along the lines that he has an apprentice or some other companion who has something that belongs to him, like a magical artifact. He wants to get it back, and he's really gonna reward us, And we're like laughing and like, all right, are we gonna do this? What's the pros and the cons? He can't be that powerful of a wizard or a spellcaster because he let himself be polymorphed and he can't get out of it. And so he's like a sheep. Oh, and the other funny thing was like, I think there was like a scroll, and we got a scroll from him, and the scroll had one of them was like a map, and I think it had a couple of scrolls. One of them was a map to where we were supposed to go to do the quest to try to retrieve this artifact. And then the other one, we didn't know what it was. It was some random treasure that we could use. And it turns out that the scroll, but we couldn't really figure out what it was because neither one of us spoke. We're talking. I can't remember if he spoke common or if we were trying to communicate with him somewhere. We couldn't read what the scroll was about. But it turns out that he's being a druid, so you figured he has the ability to speak with animals at some point. But I'm not sure if he was high level. I think he might have been like 4th level at the time, or maybe one of the spells that he didn't pick. I don't know. I can't remember. But on my end, I did have the one of the few spells that I did prepare was speak with animals. And it turns out that the scroll had a speak with animal property, and we're like, so the treasure is pretty useless. What else are we getting? So we're cracking up over the fact that it's totally, completely random. Maybe he ran on maybe it was part of the module or part of the story that he prepared, or maybe the DM rolled on a total random treasure table, and it turned out to be a scroll to speak with animals. But it was kind of useless because the druid would probably be able to naturally, in some way, talk with the animals at some point. And then I had speak with animals as one of my prepared spells. So it was like kind of pointless, but it was so funny because it was just so random, And at some point, we're all engaged and we're like, okay, we go on an adventure, Oh yeah, and then it turns out that afterwards, right after we're talking to the wizard initially, in pops in like this big huge orc, and orcs, not 2024 orcs where they can be just your PCs, part of your party, but 5e orcs and previous where they're totally hostile, totally aggressive. And the orc says something like, I need to get the sheep back, for my master, or that sheep belongs to me, or something along that way. And the sheep, who is a wizard polymorphed into the form of a sheep, gets behind me, my character, and he's kind of like hiding from this orc. And so like we look at each other, me and the druid, and we're like, okay, so he's definitely not powerful because he came into a tavern to find protection or some adventurers to help him out with this quest. And couldn't he go somewhere else? I mean, he's definitely not that bright or that powerful because he has to come into this town tavern to get some help. And we were cracking up about that. And then right off the bat, rolled initiative and took on the orc, who also had some minions. I think they were like I forgot what kind of creatures they were. I think it might have been a bear, or I think that was actually in the second scenario. So we played this whole first scenario where you just combat and we're trying to take care of the orc, and we're not doing well. The druid has a bat companion, which is like a one hit point companion. He has all these abilities and stuff like that, but it was mostly used for stealth or reconnaissance, and he gets killed right away. And so it's just me. And I don't know how to play a bard. That's the thing. I was the worst bard in probably the history of all the bards ever played, because I kept forgetting. You know how like when you're playing a new class and you have all these, especially in 5e, you have all these abilities listed as you level up, and the only thing, and for the life of me, I forgot that I had bardic inspiration as one of them. So I kept making moves, but I could have been giving my other colleague some bardic inspiration to help on his rolls, but I totally forgot half the time. And I was also trying to save some spell slots because we were pretty weak, even though we're 4th level, we're level 4. I was squishy. I had like leather armor or something like that, and so we didn't really have like a tank. There's just the two of us, and so I didn't want to burn all my spell slots because who knows when the hell we're gonna get a rest and when we're gonna get back. Anyway, we barely survived the first encounter through some crazy rolls, and I was rolling really bad, but so was the DM at first. It was like he was rolling so bad that he had to switch his D20. But the whole point of this whole story, really to get to the gist of it, is that you never can really tell. I had written this game off, and I thought A, it wasn't going to happen, B, it wasn't going to be fun because it was just the two of us, the other guy left, and C, it just didn't seem like it was going to be a good gaming experience, because at first we weren't even talking to each other, me and this other guy. But as soon as we got into the encounter, it's like we became our characters. It's like, and the thing is, with a game like D&D, if the other person knows how to play and they know what they're doing, he knew that I was a bard, and he knew I was pretty squishy, and he kept kind of hinting at what I should do, but he didn't want to tell me what to do because he wanted me to have agency, my own agency. And I kept making some wrong moves because I kept forgetting. By level 4, I had all these bardic abilities. Not only bardic inspiration, but there was these other things I could do. But I was using my melee fighting, and at one point I just wanted to stab the orc. And I did that because again I was saving the spell slots, because I thought, oh, the orc is just the entree. We're gonna have something bigger, and we did. But the point is, it was really fun. It was probably the most fun session that I've experienced in a really long time, and so did he. And we played. I kept looking at my watch because I wanted for the for traffic to die down. I didn't want to drive too late, but I didn't want to hit traffic. So I was like, this is kind of perfect, and I'll leave like 8 o'clock or whatever. But then 8 o'clock rolled around, and we had done and he was doing the same thing. I think he mentioned that he was married and doesn't get to play a lot. And I think he was like texting his wife or something. He was supposed to pick something up at the store or be home by a certain time. I don't know. But we're like playing the first encounter with the orc, and then the DM started rolling out the map for the second encounter. We were supposed to go to this location, and we had the map, and we didn't know what was gonna happen. And the other player said one thing that I completely concur and agree with, and he said something like, "That's what I love about this game. You know what I really love about this game is that unlike a movie." Sometimes you're watching a movie, a lot of times you can tell or you can predict what's going to happen. In D&D, you don't know what the hell's going to happen. The players have so much agency that they can go in different directions. And yes, it's a scripted story to a certain point, but the DM can tailor it. And it was so much fun just coming to that realization. And then the last thing that happened is we didn't win the game, by the way. Spoiler alert. We came very close because when we were fighting, we went through all these different scenarios. Like he made the map for the second encounter where we were supposed to try to retrieve the magic artifact and go up against the big bad. But before that happened, we had to go through all these trials and stuff like that. And we kept going, okay, you know what? It's like 9 o'clock, Yeah, but we can't leave now because we don't know how it's going to end. We need to figure out whether we can actually win this game and close out this scenario. And so we kept playing, and we kept surviving just barely because once in a while we'd get a good roll or something good would happen, like it often does. And then we got to the final boss, and I almost died. I had like 10 hit points or something, and this guy revived me because he had cure wounds, or had some curing spell, and I also had cure wounds, so I cured myself once, and then I went back down again because we were fighting the minions at the end, and then we went up against the big bad, and and we went through. We were trying to unlock all these different rooms, and I had pick locks, or as a bard, I had ability where I can pick the locks like a thief or like a rogue, and I kept trying, but I kept failing, and finally and when I did succeed in getting into the rooms that we needed to go, the artifact wasn't there, or the guy we were looking for was in there. The very last one that I checked was the one, wouldn't you know it, where he was at. And as soon as I was able to successfully go in there, he turned up the music. Like he was like, okay, we need soundtracks. So he started playing on his phone, iPhone, or whatever music service he had, Pandora or something. He started playing like combat music, and that just got me so hyped up. I was like, okay, we know this is the final boss, the final battle, the big bad himself. And he goes, "Oh, you finally made it." And he puts up his wand, which is what we're trying to get. And so the whole rest of the game was trying to wrestle the wand away, because we knew the wand was the power source, and if we were able to grab the artifact, he was not going to be able to hit us. But before we were successful, he turned into a dragon, a red fire-breathing dragon, and I was like, oh, we're going to be toast. And so sure enough, we weren't getting the rolls towards the end, and we lost the game. But we came so close to winning. And even though we lost the scenario, and by that time it was like 10 o'clock, as soon as my friend, and we did the best to try to keep each other going alive, and we came so close to getting the artifact. But as soon as the last ones, I was the first one to die, unfortunately, and then he died a couple of turns later. But almost, he even managed to. Anyway, it was close. And as soon as we were all done, we're like, yeah, I gotta go, everybody, it was like 10 o'clock, time to hit. There was no traffic by then, but I was so satisfied because I had not played a game like, and the last thing I want to say, the coda, the thing is, this game actually made me change a little bit. It changed, quite a lot actually. It changed my idea about death saves. I've always really disliked death saves. In 5e, I always figured, well, you drop to 0 hit points and you're done. You shouldn't really have to roll for death saves. But the way the mechanics work in 5e is you have to fail 3 saves and then you're truly dead. But you can keep rolling, and if you have successes, then it can be brought to life. So I kept rolling, and it was really suspenseful the way it was supposed to do. Because I think initially it was one-on-one, one success versus one failure, and then I got the second one, and then he was able to. I think I got a good roll, or he healed me or something, and so I went back to 0 hit points, and it just kept going back and forth before I actually hit the last. And if the DM had he was playing the big bad with the artifact as a dragon, and if he hadn't rolled really well the last couple of times, because he had to roll to recharge his breath. You know how for dragons, if you know the game, you have to roll on a d6 to recharge your breath weapon, and you got to get a 5 or a 6. And like the first few times he couldn't get the 5 or a 6. He kept rolling like 1s and 2s and 3s, and we're still in it. And so going through that, I was like, okay, I understand that saves now. It's like I used to think that it took away from the reality or from the danger portion of the game. But no, actually, it can be very successful when it comes to that situation where you're like rolling for life and death, and it's kind of razor's edge type of thing. So I really enjoyed that part of it, and that it has kind of changed my perception about whether death saves are good or not. I don't think they're always good, but in this specific instance, I can see what the developers were going for when they made them be the way they are. I don't think I would change. I could probably tweak them when I play another 5e game, but I would probably keep them in my games from now on. So yeah, that's my story about my latest 5e one-shot adventure, and it was tons of fun. It was a really good game, and I'm really glad that I made the effort to actually find one. I didn't think I was gonna get to play I played an online game after that a couple of nights later, but it doesn't really compare. I think just being at the table, sometimes the online is the only option, but being at the table and gelling with, because I didn't know, again, I don't know these people. This is the first time I played with either one of them, but the DM knew what he's doing. He was trying to kill us. He was trying to kill us for sure. He didn't pull any punches, and we were just helping each other out, and we came pretty close to surviving that one shot. So anyway, that's my story. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you have had a similar experience, let me know in the comments, and thank you for tuning in. I'll be back with more content, and if you like this video, go ahead and hit the like and or subscribe, and keep on playing, and may the rolls be with you.